Time for an ad. Time to pay the bills. Jacob, it is one of the best places and only places that you can go to support local Texas State athletes, your favorite athletes. It's Elite Sports. They have good NIL deals with some of your athletes that you support every Saturday, Sunday, and Wednesday in some cases. So go support them. Jacob, what are some of the athletes that they have over there for us?
Well, they just signed Malik Hornsby, so stay tuned for that. But you go to elitesports.com, they have a whole collection of Texas State athletes you can get behind. That's Ben McClain. That's Michael Budin. That's Austin Smith, Xavier Pettis, Mason Harrell. The list goes on and on, honestly. They just recently signed, as I was saying before, Malik Hornsby. So get ready for all those gear drops. It's just an exclusive look. It's a way to give back to the Texas State community, give back to the student athletes directly. EliteSports.com, use code SQUARE at checkout.
Tired of winning the tailgate but losing the games? We can't help that. But we can tell you what the hell is up with each team and what's going on across sunny San Marcos. Texas State fans, get on your feet. You're listening to Squarin' Around with Jakob Rodriguez and Andrew Zimmel.
Mental toughness is a big theme that I think we're covering in this Square Talks. What's up, everybody? I'm Jakob Rodriguez. That's Andrew Zimmel. Join me as always as we digest everything, all Texas State.
It was a really good interview, man. We talked to Caeveon Patton and his agent, super agent Pat. It was a good time, man. Look, you're talking about mental toughness. There's a lot of lessons to be learned here, not only if you're an athlete, but if you're just a guy or a girl out there who's going through some tough times. Caevion's got some pretty good, I should say, pretty interesting life experiences and ways to go about it.
Well, it's like, not only is he kind of battling being a mid-major program, being from a mid-major program, you don't get as many looks, especially being on a team that may not have won very many games.
Wasn't very good, yeah.
Wasn't very good. So he was just kind of dedicated to his craft, kept believing himself, kept calling his own shots. He could have stayed another year. I think he had a COVID eligibility. And he was like, I'm out. I think I'm going to bet on myself after 2021. And so he spent this past year with the XFL and the Orlando Guardians playing at Camping World Arena or Stadium Arena, whatever. You've never heard of it. But that's where Caeveon spent his time there. Before then, actually, this is kind of fortuitous. The prophecy hath foretold a player like him coming through because he spent the game after, the senior season at the Tropical Bowl. So pretty cool experience.
Yeah, the Tropic Bowl.
Yeah,
it's like the senior Tropic Bowl. There's a bunch of those type of senior showcases. The most famous being like the Reese's Senior Bowl, where a lot of the bigger name guys go. Good experience for him. Good way to kind of segue into this interview about, his career to this point and what he hopes to do going forward.
Yeah, man. Here's your interview.
Touchdown!
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Squaring Around. This is Square Talks, where we talk to people from around the athletics department, around the Texas State stuff, We're pleased to be joined by All-XFL, defensive lineman Caeveon Patton, also a Texas State football alum. Caeveon, what have you been up to, man?
Man, just taking care of the body, trying to get everything back working right so I get back out there and keep chasing it, man. That's it. Get everything back, man. That's it.
Get everything back. We're also joined by his agent, Pat Curran. Pat, what's been like? I talked to Caeveon a little bit before the show. I guess what were your first impressions just working with Caeveon? As he's beginning to go from collegiate athlete to pro.
Yeah. So I don't know how much you know about how we got together. So Caeveon had signed with the previous agent in December, I think, right? This is of last year, and I get hit up by a couple of coaches who used to coach him, and he was like, "Hey, things didn't work out. He's looking for an agent. You talk to this guy." And I was like, "Yeah, all right." Two guys I respected. I talked to him, and I really liked him. Had a convo. I think we had 3 total convos before we signed, maybe 4. Him and his girl Amber, who I assume is the one driving next to us. So, and we're like, "Yo, let's do it." So it's been great. I mean, we knew he was going to be a really good player. Knew he's a really good dude, and it was more about how do we find the right steps for him at the right time? Because I mean, you could be the best of the best of the best in the NFL and not quite make it. You could be a great player in the XFL and not quite make it. So it's about right time, right fit. And I think, this all kind of happened really well this year.
Well, especially with the XFL, they're marketing their entire league as like that 54th guy. Like we deserve to be here just as much as anybody else. Was so happy that one of the Bobcats was one of the people that was like, "Hey, yeah, I can play anywhere, so let me know." So yeah, Savion, you're in Austin right now, right? I guess heading back from Austin, doing some off-season work, right?
Yes, sir. On my way back from Austin. Going back actually, get back training kids. That's what I do. I train kids. I want to back out a 8-year-old girl I'm working with today, softball girl at 5. I'm still chasing both dreams, man, because it's both of my dreams. I love training kids. And I love playing ball. So doing what I love to do, man. That's it.
You graduated in 2021 with the ESS major, right? And that was one of the things that you told everybody there, that you wanted to one day own a gym and start training people, right?
And, obviously you want to prolong your football career, but is there long-term plans for your major when you?
Oh yeah, I always wanted to be like a personal trainer and eventually like own my own gym and train athletes. That's my dream. So I'm gonna work towards that.
Yes, sir. Yeah, that's my dream, man.
Nice.
And whenever that comes, I'll be ready for it. I'm gonna go chase it.
So for context for everybody, Savion was recruited under Coach Withers, stayed through the Spavital era, had to sit out 2020, right? I believe with the back issue,
Yes,
and then
sir.
came back 2021. Yeah. So I guess what is your own recovery and then like reinstillment? Because you take off a year like that, and then you have another pretty great year too at Texas State, and ultimately end up on a pro team too after that with the Colts first, the mini camp, and then ultimately the XFL.
No, it was more of it was really like, really more of mental toughness. And I pride myself on being very like mentally tough, and I don't let anything on the outside affect what I got going on the inside. But that was the first time that I grew up rough, that was the first time in a long time that I had to really like go inside, you feel me, and find something inside to bring it out to go get what I wanted. Because that was the first time in my freshman year of high school that I didn't play a whole season of football. So it was kind of like foreign to me, in my adult life, I've never not played football in fall, so it felt weird be on the sidelines and to the year before be an all conference player, a team captain, be watching your team lose on the sideline. You can't help them at all. And so that messed with me a lot. And had a lot of stuff going on in my life outside of football. But really, one coach had told me something whenever a scout had came to ask about one of my teammates, and he had told me that the scout had said, what happened to the number 88 guy? And then I said, what did he say after that? After you told him what happened to me? And he was like, yeah, man, I was just asking, man, because a bunch of guys forgot about him. And so that like put something in me. I'm like, yeah. And so I literally got on my wall still today, like on a note, like a sticky note, is they forgot about me. So that was my whole motto whenever I was training off season. When I was the first guy in the building to start, like I would literally get there before the trainers got there to do my own prehab on the field and then go in there and do what they wanted me to do. Because I knew my body and I knew how I can push it. And they weren't willing to push it as far as I wanted them to push it, So I was pushing myself to the limit and then allowing them to come in and work with me afterwards. And I just did that for 9 months. And a lot of people don't know, man, a month before my damn back surgery, I messed up my pec. So I had to come back in 9 months between both those injuries, and then came back and then won my job back from a kid that, not a kid, but one of my teammates, Nico Ezador. He's a year younger than me. I actually hosted him. I'd hosted him and brought him in. And he ended up signing to Texas State. And I don't know if y'all know, but in 2020, he was the second team all-conference guy. And I come, and that's the guy I had to go win my spot back from, was a second team all-conference guy. And he knew that I was on a mission. So he knew he had to outwork me. But in that building, wasn't nobody smarter than me and wasn't nobody going to outwork me. So I knew that all I had to do was get back on the grass, and I was going to get my job back. And that's what I did. I took it one day at a time, and I did it, man. And then went out there and played every game. And thank God, man, I got the opportunity to keep balling. So I guess everything worked out. That's it.
That's the amazing story, man. Like that gave me goosebumps right here. They forgot about me. I love that. Because I think a lot of people feel like that, especially, young people who are trying to get that opportunity. They feel like, hey, I'm getting overlooked here. I wanted to ask you, you talk a lot about training. How do you train your inner self to kind of deal with some of that stuff?
I think really a lot of my stuff is kind of like wired in me. Like I said, I grew up. And how I grew up is kind of like you had no other option but to figure it out. And I think I just carried that in my adult life. Like I just always tell myself, like, when everything goes just going bad and everything, I just like tell myself, like, nobody really cares because everybody got their own problems. You know, like when you see me, you might remember Savion's problems, but when you go home, you got to worry about your own shit. So this is how I operate. Like I'm just like, at the end of the day, nobody really cares what you got going on behind closed doors. Nobody knew that I was going through a lot of stuff because they really didn't care. And if they asked and I told them, they'll forget about it, and by the time the week goes on. You feel me? And then I think cause like I said, I dealt with a lot of problems growing up, and I think one that really hit me is when my grandma, my uncle, and them died. Grandma died one year. Next year, my uncle died from COVID. It was her son, and he was like a dad to me. And then next thing you know, like, you know, everybody sends you the praying for you and everything. And then week after that, you don't hear from nobody. It's like everybody else forgets, but you still gotta go home and remember that shit. My uncle ain't gonna be there when I walk in the door next time I go home. You know? And so I think that just makes you realize, like, at the end of the day, we're not in it by ourselves, but to an extent, you gotta learn how to get through shit on your own. And I just carry that with me. Yeah, I just carry that with me when it comes to sports and just life in general.
You know, it's tough to kind of go that road alone, though. You know what I mean? So is it just, do you just feel like, hey, I exercise this, just my background tells me like, hey, I can deal with whatever life puts in front of me, any adversity I have, I know that I'm strong enough to deal with it?
Oh yeah, I know I am. Yeah, you ain't gonna break me. Like you can throw anything in front of me. I promise I'm not gonna fold. Like I got too much. I stand on we stand on 10 toes. Like I stand on what I believe in. I'm willing to die behind that. And I'm not on no cliche everything, but what I believe in is what I believe in. And I'm not gonna change that or like veer off from that for anybody. And I don't. And if you don't believe if you don't believe in what I believe in, I'm not gonna look at you different. You know, everybody not built for it tough, as we say in the country. You're not built for it. You know. So yeah, man, that's who I am, and I've always been like that, and that's why I am what I am today and who I am. So,
what were your emotions after minicamp?
It was iffy because it was a lot of like uncertainty going like in there, you know, and then it was fun, have fun, getting ready to fly around, and, like putting that helmet on, like it felt like I don't know, it didn't feel real, you know, that I went out there and competed my ass off. And then ended up, they kept me extra day. I got like the physical and everything. And I come back home. We didn't hear nothing for like 2 weeks. And so we was waiting, like checking our phones, like, damn, like if we get anything. And I remember Pat, so normally Pat, so he's on the California time. So I got the time different. So like if he calls me like too late Texas time or too early Texas time, I know it's something up. You feel me? So like me and my girlfriend were working out at like 8 or 9 in the morning. And then I'm like, damn, Pat calling me? And so I answered. I'm like, hold on. He told me what was going on. I'm like, damn, okay. And I'm drunk. He's like, hey, don't get your hopes up. We don't know. And then probably like 10 minutes later, a lady named Elaney, she handles all the operations and everything for the coach. She called me like, hey, we bring you back. So I'm crunk, call Pat, and we get everything rolling. I hit out that Tuesday, then go back, earning myself a contract. And then come home. I'm a coach for 5 weeks. And then go back up there. Showed up in the best shape of my life. They wanted me to do because I was 295, and they wanted me to come back at 285 and drop like 2% body fat. But they told me my ideal weight was 280, and I was like, well, I'm coming back at 280 then. And so then I came back. I was 280 on the diet. I dropped 3% body fat. I trained myself. I made my own food, and they were tripped out about that. And I had the best comeback weight out of anybody returning on the team. And we got to like 5 days before everybody else, us rookies, to do like get us acclimated to practice and everything. And then I was beating the guys they drafted, looking better than the guys they drafted. And then next thing you know, the first day of minicamp, which is first day of actual training camp, with the meetings, you talk to the owner, Jim Irsay, and everything. He gives like the speech. It was my dad's birthday too, bro. I come in there and then I get a call from an unknown number that I didn't know. And I'm like, hold on, bro. And so my heart kind of like dropped because guys had told me about like how guys can get cut anytime, you know? I'm like, damn. So dude named Andrew, we call him the Grim Reaper. And then he called me. He was like, hey, you in the building? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, well, you mind coming downstairs and going up with me to Chris Ballard's office? And I'm like, oh my goodness, my heart just dropped. So then I go down, I walk up, I go in the office, and then Chris Ballard was like, he's a GM. And he was like, hey, man, I love you. I don't want to have to do this, but we're going to have to release you because we need wide receivers. But like I told you last time, I'm going to bring you back. I don't know when I'm gonna bring you back. I don't know how, but I'm working on shit to bring you back right now. He said, so just go home, don't unpack your bags, and don't put your head down, keep working. So I go home, I'm home 2 days. And then Pat again calls me early as hell in the morning and was like, hey, he was like, hey man, what you doing? I said, I'm about to go work out. And he was like, well shit. He said, pack your bags, your big ass going back to Indianapolis. So then me and my girlfriend get back in the car, and then she takes me back to the airport. I go back to the airport, I get there, I resign, and then I'm there till after the second week of preseason. So going into week 3, I'm there, and then I end up getting cut. And then that's when I came back to the crib and started training again.
Talk about
so.
gosh.
I was gonna say a lot of highs and lows there, and you're saying the entire time you felt pretty like steadfast in like your beliefs. You felt like, yeah, okay, this is just the path that I gotta take.
Yeah, man. At the end of the day, like what's for you is for you. And like me personally, I believe I'm doing everything right. Everything that's supposed to happen is gonna happen. You know, so I pride myself on living right, man. I do everything right. I try to walk a straight line in everything I do in life, from my relationship to what I do outside of sports, what I do inside of sports. So, guys, believe me, I believe in God with my whole heart, and I believe whatever you put in this world, you get out. So, and I put nothing but good energy in the world. So at the end of the day, whatever I get out is what I'm supposed to get. So that's how I walk, man.
Talk about inspirational, Jacob. Sheesh.
I know. I think we picked a great episode. Pat, I wanted to talk to you specifically. Like, what's the difference in getting a player ultimately to, the highest of highs in sports? We're talking about the NFL, or in this case, the XFL. Like, what's the difference in getting a guy from, a program like Texas State, maybe not one of those like blue chip, destinations, especially not in the recent years. Hopefully, looking soon, looking ahead, take back Texas. We're all hoping for better stuff. But what's the difference going from like a mid-major player or to like, the other side?
Well, I think it's so important is the like off-season or postseason games and senior bowls and those kind of things for those guys, right? Because and he went to this is before me. He went to the Tropical Bowl. Mm-hmm. I don't know if he wants to talk about that at all, but not a great experience in general for him, right? And not his fault. It's not like he played bad or did things like that. It just wasn't a great experience. And I think a lot of times that's where scouts at the upper levels are looking at these guys. All right, sure, they dominated in the Sun Belt or dominated in the MAC where I played or dominated wherever. But how are they going to look at when they face the tops of the top, right? And then same thing for a guy like Caeveon. When he comes to Colts camp, you see he's playing against the best of the best, right? Just like when he got to the XFL, he's playing against the best of the best. He was a number one going into the XFL, but like he could have got cut too. Like that meant nothing. He was number one on the roster on the depth chart. Day one means absolutely nothing. So you go out, you compete, you show. And that's why when we talked, it was like, obviously, he wanted to play in the NFL and he wants to get back to the NFL, and we think that'll happen. But let's first try to like get back in the league. This is, after he got cut, after second cuts in preseason last year. Let's try to see if something happens in the league. Nothing happened. All right. So weeks later, we're like, all right, XFL is the next move. Let's get into that because we need to get tape to continue to prove it, show against the best of the best, all right, top level professional athletes. And that's what he did for 10 weeks. A month before in preseason and 10 weeks into the season. And that's why, I'm getting calls and talking to multiple teams about what's next for him.
I was going to ask how you felt that this season went for you in the XFL.
I think it went good personally because I had I was hungry. I was like, man, I'm gonna go get it. And so me and Pat, we always talk. Like I told Pat, like I'm like, hey, my Taiwan, my D-line coach, has sent me like a mock depth chart from when we got to camp. And that was probably like a month out. And so he had me as his number one D tackle. And I'm like, damn, okay. And our defense, we set the 3-tech in the quote unquote big guardian, like an outside backer / edge to the strength of the defense. So that's like, the strength of the offense, and that's the strength of our defense. So that means that those two guys are some badass dudes. Like we're relying on you two to turn that motherfucker back inside to everybody else. You feel me? So like me personally, I like, damn, being the youngest guy in the room, for him to give me that role as a 3-tech, and not even having quote unquote lead experience, I was like, man. I said, so I kind of like, okay, I got to come in ready. So that even pushed me even harder. And then when I got there, like I told Pat, I'm like, hey, he got me as a 1, and nobody else is taking that from me. Like I'm gonna come here as a 1, I'm gonna finish as a 1 week 10, and that's what I did. And that was my goal, man. I went out there, and I just played balls to the wall every week from whistle to whistle, to quarter to quarter, and I just gave everything I got. And at the end of the day, the end result was what I wanted it to be, and I was one of the best 3 techs in the XFL.
How big of a gap was it between the XFL and the Sun Belt when it comes to like just talent?
Well, it's a big gap.
Yeah,
because it's like, mind you, like we said, it's a professional league. I think a lot of people are like, to me personally, it's not too far of a gap from the NFL, because you got a lot of guys out here that got NFL experience that were just on the NFL team the whole season. That might have didn't get picked back up. Like, think about it. Philip Lindsay was the damn running back for the Sea Dragons in the last 3-4 games. Like, and I was with Philip with the Colts. He was with me. He played with me at the Colts. He was with the Colts this past year. So you got guys. Think about it. The quarterback for the San Antonio Brahmas was with me. Jack Conan was with me at the Colts training camp. You got a defensive back from the Houston Roughnecks that played with the Colts for 2 years and got cut. Now he was the Roughnecks. So you got NFL guys in the XFL. Think about it. You go into camp with 90 guys and only 52 men make the roster. 53 men make a roster. Like, what are those other 20, whatever number is guys doing? They don't suck. They just didn't make a team. And I was one of those guys. You know, I'm far from where I want to be, but I know I'm good enough to play at that level. And I had to go out there and prove it to them. And I think I did to an extent. I let people know that I can play ball. So.
Well, so now you're on the opposite side of the numbers game, right? Because at first it's like frustrating, like, oh, I'm kind of like the person who's not dancing with somebody right now, you know? And now you come into the table like, well, hey, look what I did. So you got a lot going for you. I guess, was it fortuitous that you played in the Tropical Bowl because you ended up in the Orlando area anyway?
Yeah, that was weird, because think about it. We played at the
Camping World or whatever.
Stadium. Yeah, Camping World. That was our home stadium too for the Orlando game. So it kind of like came full circle. That's pretty cool.
That is cool.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I'm really impressed by the kind of the demeanor you have. You know what I mean? Like, I've taken a lot of notes over here, just saying, like, what can I take from my, journey in life? You know what I mean? Because to have kind of these highs and lows, and Jacob and I joke about this all the time. I'm in North Dakota doing my thing in radio, and it's not a great trip. You know what I mean? You don't love the journey sometimes. You're kind of just looking for the destination, but it sounds like you're enjoying the journey too.
I just love it. Like, football had, like, I joke and tell the kids where I'm from. I'm like, bro, football has gave me a lot of stuff that I wouldn't have done without football. I never flew a plane before I played college football. I never had a steak before I played college football. Like, I had a lot of firsts getting the opportunity to play college football. So it's taken me a long way, man. I love the journey, because at the end of the day, that's the only thing that we can. So I got a stomach tattoo, right? And it says the only thing we take to our grave is our memories. So that's my stomach tattoo. Because I believe that, we don't take nothing else to our grave, and while I'm on here, my family is the most important thing to me. So I just cherish that, doing stuff my family has never seen before. And even my small town, like, I'm the first guy from Cuero. We're a small town, 8,000 people, like Southeast Texas. I'm the first defensive lineman to ever go to the NFL. You feel me? So it's kind of like I'm doing a lot of stuff. I'm the first D lineman that went and played college ball in over 20 plus years. So I'm doing a lot of things that growing up people didn't believe was going to happen, but it's happening.
It's a good water tower moment. Cuero, the home of Caeveon Patton. Boom.
Hey.
Get it on there. Let's do it.
On there. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
It was cool, too. He talks about, like, family and stuff. I went to the opener in Houston, which is how long? 2.5 from Cuero?
Yeah, about that. Yeah, about 2.5.
And I'm walking in the gate like everybody else. And it was just me at the time. I got there early. I wanted to watch warm-ups and do all that stuff. And I see, like, signs, let's go Caeveon, let's go 88 Guardians. Like, he's the away team, right, from Orlando. So I don't know how many family members showed up, 30 maybe family members for that game. I know I was texting with Amber at another game. She was at 50 family members. And there's kids that he's training, and there's friends of family. Like, it was really cool to see, for the game I was at. And then obviously throughout the season, a lot of the support that he had from people specifically back home.
That's awesome, man. That's really cool. What can y'all talk about? I guess, like, the organizational structure of the XFL. Did y'all expect, The Rock to get involved and all this stuff? It ended up becoming, like, bigger than I think a lot of people predicted at first. Obviously, the championship game just wrapped up in San Antonio this past weekend. That was between the Guardians or the DC Defenders and Arlington and DC. I know we're in there, but I got to learn all these names. I know the Guardians though. Caevion's on, and I was following Pat and all this other stuff. That's the only thing that mattered to me is that a Bobcat was winning out of all this. But what did y'all think about the XFL overall? What was it like being a part of the draft and just the process as a whole?
Really to me, like, okay, so we're gonna go back. So Pat really put my name in like the pool and everything. Like, to be honest, I wasn't even thinking like XFL. Like, I had heard of it, and then I was like, Pat was like, bro, we might as well. You got to keep playing ball. And he said, you want to put your name in the pool? I said, shit, fuck it, let's go.
So you got to call Monday night from me.
Yeah. Got to call Monday night from Pat and saying that Ty Warner, Orlando Guardians D-line coach, I wanted to like come work me out to see how I looked and everything. And he had actually played ball with my linebacker coach at Texas State, Coach Gamble. And I was his boy, and he was real close and said he did his due diligence and everything, and really liked what he heard about me. And so then I told Pat, shit, let's do it tomorrow. Because I was trained, I was ready, And he like, well, he said he gonna get back with me on a date. So then we scheduled, I think, for next Monday, the week later. And then we ended up going to Hutto, Texas. Went to Hutto. Me and Amber, my girlfriend, drove down there, and then it was pouring down raining. And me, I'm like, bro, I done drove 2 hours. I'm doing this workout. And so we go out there, and then he sets up all the timers and everything, the cameras. I'm like, damn, he legit. I'm thinking it's going to be some last minute stuff. I'm like, oh, my God, bro. But he got the camera set out, the timers and everything. And we do like a warm up. I'm like, we about to work. And then I start, my mom, like, okay, yeah. At first, I'm like, man, I hope it ain't no like bootleg stuff, man. I'm hoping it's legit. But everything was legit. He showed up. He had everything, was writing everything down. I'm like, damn. And so then we ended up doing some sprints, some 10-yard sprints. And I could actually run a little bit. And so then I get down there and I start running. And he was like, he like made a comment. He was like, everybody can do stuff by accident like one time. I just got to see if you can do it 2 times in a row. And so I go back. I'm like, that's easy. And so I got back. I do it again, damn near the same time. And he was like, okay. And so then like we went to drills. We were working for about an hour and a half, man, putting me through drills and everything. And I just ate the drills because I've been training my ass off. And he had me like with 3 other guys, and you can tell they probably been sitting on their ass. It was 2 total different speeds that we're going at. And then after that, he really didn't say nothing, man. He kind of like a guy. He's not gonna really tell you what he's feeling until he gets to know you. You feel me? And he didn't know me then. And so like he was kind of just short and like, okay, well, y'all look good, man. Y'all got anything? Reach back out to me. I'm gonna go watch this. Reach back to our agents and let y'all know. We'll go from there. And then that was it. And like we just walked out the field. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, damn, what the fuck? What? Like, he don't tell me nothing. And so then we ended up drove back, and then I think Pat called him, and then asked him like, how did I do? And they talked for a little bit. And then later on that week, I went to watch my brother play. So my younger brother plays center for Sam Houston. And then went and watched him play. And that weekend, Pat texted me. He's like, hey, just making sure you got all your information in for the draft. Ty reached back out to me. And I'm like, oh, in my head, I'm like, they trying to draft me or something? And so then when the draft came that Wednesday, I was training kids. So like I was busy. I had to go up here because I had this partnership with a place called Clean Plate. I had to go up here, get my meals, talk to them, had to go back, drive another hour to go train kids. And so I wasn't even really paying attention to the draft, but my girlfriend Amber was. She was locked in on the draft, watching every pick. And I started seeing them picking these big name ass dudes, like big schools. And I'm like, oh my God, it's probably gonna be some league where they just trying to look good the first year. They're not trying to get a guy like me, you feel me? And so I'm like, man, I'm not worried about it. As long as I get opportunity, I don't care. And so next thing you know, she leaves and my phone rings. And then I'm in the middle of warming up a kid, one of my kids named Josh. And I answered, it was an unknown number. And I'm like, who is this? And he's like, I went and got your big ass, didn't I? And that's what he told me. I said, oh yeah. So I was crunk. And then my girlfriend called me because she seen it. She watched it live. And then I'm just like, what? I didn't even believe it, bro. And then Pat called me. I was like, oh, it was a pretty cool moment, bro. And then, yeah, that's how I got to the XFL. And at first I thought it was going to be like unorganized, like not put together. But I'm telling you, it was totally opposite of that. Like they had all this shit in line. Everything was legit. Like they took care of us, man. They fed us good. We had good ass resources. Like it was super legit. I recommend it to anybody that don't think they're gonna like go to the next level or anything, but you shouldn't be thinking like that. But it's not a thing to look over and be like, oh, I'm not going to the XFL. Like it's super legit, and you still getting paid to play professional football. So you're getting paid decent money to play football if that's what you want to do, really. So I recommend it to anybody, man, that wants to keep playing ball at a high level.
I need that leaked audio, your first phone call. That's hilarious.
I wanted to say, because, it's been a really good partnership between you and Pat, but you mentioned your girlfriend Amber a lot during this like conversation, this like story about how you got to this point. How important is she in your life?
Oh yeah, that's my road dog. Like as you see, she everywhere with me. Like we really don't do nothing without each other. We've been together 8.5 years, and coming up soon, she's gonna be my fiance. But
Congratulations.
yeah, I'm trying to
Congrats.
get that in the works. She outside the car right now, but look, and then trying to get that going. Already got everything, getting rolling. But nah, that she's been here with me every step of the way. We've been together since we were 15. Like literally, like she passed my agent, she my manager. So yeah, she manages everything for me. Like I just do the muscle. Like we always say, I'm the muscle, she the brains behind the operation. So we work together. It's a partnership, and that's what shit, marriage, relationships, they should be partnerships, y'all gotta help each other out, and we really help each other out. So that's my road dog, my baby.
Nice.
That's great to hear.
I don't want to give Andrew's journalism secrets all away, but the first person that Andrew would talk to is the girlfriend of all these players, because they do know everything. They know the stats better than we do sometimes.
I'll tell a story real quick. When Withers was fired, the way that I learned before a lot of the other media members was because the players texted their girlfriends and said, "Hey, Withers got canned," and then they texted me, "Hey, Withers isn't the coach anymore." So that's how you get that's how the sausage is made. Sometimes you got to find out the breaking news when it breaks.
That's crazy.
That's wild. So what's the next step? Is y'all's phone ringing? Or I know you want to give all your secrets away, but talks are being had? Question mark?
Yes! Exclamation point.
Nice.
Yeah, no, I've talked to multiple teams. We'll see what's happening, but something will happen sooner than later.
Awesome.
That's
When are you
great,
expecting that announced? Like, what's your timeline?
I'm in the next couple weeks.
All right.
No specific timeline and nothing specifically set up at this moment, but yeah, over the next couple of weeks, we'll have something more finalized, hopefully.
Cool.
Yeah, especially as the camps start, opening up and stuff like that, and we get more of the mini camps and all the other OTAs and stuff. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. It'll be obviously rookie camp happened or happening some places, happened already other places. Won't be a mini camp deal. It'll be after. It'll be potentially an OTAs, undrafted or free agent signing for camp here, training camp.
Cool.
Very cool. Very cool.
Saeveon, before I let you go, I have to ask you, what have you been seeing about these Bobcats now? Have you seen the juice? Are you believing again? What is the vibe? Do you keep in contact with some of the guys on the team still or now?
Man, well, to be honest, I haven't even really been up there to feel the vibe of any of that. But I thought it was pretty cool that the new head coach brought in Lane Johnson. Y'all seen that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He brought in Lane Johnson to talk to the guys, to starting the right tackle for the damn Philadelphia Eagles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one of the best players in the league.
Yeah, to get him to come down and talk to them, that was pretty cool. But I really don't know how the vibe is. Really, because I have a lot of my guys that like enter in the transfer portal. And you know how that goes whenever new coaches come in and guys' feelings get hurt or they don't want to fight for a job, or it just sometimes it's not even that. It's just not the fit for them no more. They might not fit the scheme. And you got to go try to go somewhere else. Like today's society, not even back in the day when I first came in, it wasn't no leaving. You had to figure out a way to make that shit happen, or you're gonna ride the bench. But I guess that's the easy way out now. So just jump in the portal.
I want to ask a question about Texas State too, because I've been defending Zach Spavital to a bunch of people because they didn't think that whatever reason they were against Zach Spavital. I thought he was a good DC. What was your take as like a player for him on that defensive side of the ball? What'd you think of Zach?
No, I love Coach Spavital, man. He's a super smart DC. I love playing this defense because I felt like whenever he came in and took over the defense, I was able to be myself. Because I feel like with my first two coordinators, they'll kind of put a ceiling on players They'll kind of tell you this is what you did, and this was your role, and this is what you do. And I'm not the type of person, man. I like to let somebody go out there and let them figure out what they can do. And so when Spav came in, he told me like, hey, because like after the last staff left, I was big. Like they had got me to like 305. I was like a damn brick house.
Three stack, baby.
And I wasn't getting moved. And then Spav came in and he was like, bro, like I seen glimpses on tape of you being super twitchy and athletic and being able to bend. Like, let's get you down and let's have you play everywhere and let's make you be disruptive as hell. And I'm like, I'm cool with that. He said, let's try to get you down to 285 and then we'll see where that goes. So I ended up getting down to 285 going into my true junior year in 2019. And that's when I played like a 285, 290 that year. And that's when I ended up having 60 plus tackles, 3 sacks, like all of my crazy numbers my junior year. And that's when I really put my name on the map. And that was with him believing in my ability and seeing how I moved in the offseason and really saying like, hey, you can be a damn good player. He's like, I just need you to believe that you can be, and I believed that I could be, but I never had another coach at the collegiate level say, hey, let's go get it. Because when he was at OU, he coached General McCoy. He worked with a bunch of those guys. He was back in the AP era at OU. So he said, I've coached and I've seen great defensive linemen, and I believe that you can be one of those if you just lock in and you believe that I believe in you, and I'm gonna put you in the best situations to make good plays. So I believe in them. And I love both Spav brothers. That like we still talk all the time. Like we got a relationship that ain't never gonna die no matter where they go. We built that in those 2 to 3 years there with each other. So yeah, man, I vouch for both of them.
Very cool. All right.
Yeah. Well, I guarantee you, wherever you go next, one of the first people that's going to call you is going to be the new coaching administration and be like, hey, we got to get you some Texas State swag to wear wherever you're going next. So that's
I
awesome.
tell you what, from an outsider, you guys are all the Texas folk here, right?
Mm-hmm.
I love what they've done staff-wise. I think GJ is super talented. I love Mac Leftwich as the OC. I know a couple of those guys on staff a little bit. I love what they've done. I think they're going to be really competitive this year. I don't know. It's hard with, like he said, portal, and you got these new guys, and there's tons of talent I know on the field, but I really like the staff a lot.
You got a prediction, Pat? What do you think we're going to finish?
No. Top 4.
Oh, okay.
Top 4. All right.
All right.
Which is not a good, which is a whatever prediction, but I do think they're going to be really good, and I think some of the other teams might be down a little bit.
Nice.
We're staunchly a 6-6 podcast right now, but we are willing to be talked out of it. I'm like 6-6, a bowl berth. I'm good with that. I think that's a good realistic bar for the program.
Anything goes in the summertime. Ultimately, I want Pat to come back to San Marcos to start looking at more Texas State players, so we can start talking about whatever.
You tell me the guys I need to be on. I'm in on it. I'm looking at the schedule right now.
Okay, here it is.
The out of conference schedule, not favorable. With Baylor, UTSA on there, Jackson State.
Hey, Jackson State might be down. Okay, let's
not a wild card.
Wild card.
You beat Jackson State. I feel good about that. Nevada probably feel like that's a very competitive game coming off a Jackson State win. You might be 2-2 heading into conference play. We'll see what happens.
That's fine. Oh.
Yeah. Call me in 8 months. We'll talk more about it.
See, and that's what we're on. Because I've talked to some of the other Sunbelt people, the media members and stuff, and the scouting report on the Sunbelt is the defense. It's a very good defensive conference. I don't think it's going to be a first person to 50 wins. And UIW, a lot of those games were like, who can score the most points the quickest? I don't think you're going to get away with that in the Sunbelt, and that's why I'm a little hesitant. I'm a little nervous, but in GJ we trust.
If you've got the talent to do it, you can change the conference in that way. I don't know that they do on the field. They will, I think, but I don't know if they do this year. We'll see.
We're clipping it right there.
Culture. I just want to win. Period. I'm tired of losing.
I feel that.
Well, thank you all for joining us. The pride of Cuero, Caeveon Patton, and Project Pat. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Project Pat.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you guys.
Thanks, guys.
I wonder what he's going to do next. Where he's going to go.
What a segue.
Well, it's like just really interesting. We're all just kind of waiting on either a social media post or a phone call,
Pretty Pretty much, it sounds like Super Agent Pat has it kind of figured out. That he's got a couple irons in the fire, is like what we like to say. It was funny. We skipped over his first agent, Pat being the second agent. It's kind of like how you skip over your first wife sometimes. You go, you know what? I was married before, but I'm very happily married now. Caeveon, he had an agent before. He's very happily married to Pat right now.
Well, Pat's one of those guys who has had like a few viral TikToks. He's on like that NFL agent scene on Twitter.
You're looking for the viral NFL agent TikToks, bro?
That's how deep in the weeds I get for these
kidding.
Episodes, Zim. Yeah.
Jeez.
Well, no, it's just cool to have to people like really articulate those stories well. Like Caeveon is like a dream realized. The pride of Cuero, and so for him to do all these things, really is kind of like the first guy to do it in that specifically Cuero. It's really cool. And it's really cool to see this kind of like the steps being built. He's talking about his future, and not only like on the field, but personally, his wife to be, hopefully, Amber.
Yeah, shout out to Amber, man.
Shout out to Amber.
They always say behind every strong man is an even stronger woman. Behind every great NFL player, it seems like there's a woman that's kind of pulling the strings, making sure that they get to practice, they get their food, they get their training. And Amber is, shout out to her, because when you listen to him talk, and we mentioned it during the interview, like every step of the way there was, she was next to him kind of helping him along.
She was driving him through like half of that interview. She never once came on camera. So shout out to her for keeping her own. Like those. I'm on NFL wife TikTok also. So I guarantee you, when Caeveon is in the league, she's gonna be on NFL wife TikTok too, making all those.
Shout out to Amber, man.
Yeah. They've been together for like 8 years, I think he told us. So
Alyssa,
8 years. Consider yourself lucky. We've only been together for 3.
Pretty good.
Great interview. Shout out Caeveon. We'll definitely be tuning in, and I know the Bobcats will be too, to see where he lands. It's always cool to see Bobcats in the pros. Shout out Aaron Brewer. Shout out David Mayo. Soon. Shout out Caeveon Patton.
For sure. This is a good squaring around. Good square talks.
Thanks for listening. New episodes out every Thursday. Follow the boys on Twitter. Eat 'em up. Eat 'em up.